there have always been cases where losers complain. They complained in 1979. They complained in Abiola's election. They complained in 1999. They complained in 2003. Buhari versus Obasanjo. They complained in 2007. They complained in 2007 also, that brought Yaradua in. And of course, Yaradua came eventually. And remember, even the total results of 2007 have not been declared. About 11 states also have not been declared. And of course, Yaradua tendered apology, even though the court ruled, he said, remember, this history. So I'm saying, there's no election in this country. There have not been complaints of rigging here and there. So it's not peculiar to this one. You see, the problem with us Nigerians generally, we are hypocritical people. And sometimes the more educated we are, the more mischievous we become. We know, if you see people say something today, just watch it. If you can document what they are saying today, watch what they will say tomorrow. The same people will come around to say tomorrow. And some even say, when they don't even have anything to say, they say, no, the number of people who voted, who participated in the election, they are not enough to declare somebody a winner. They can come out honestly to say the truth. They are never consistent. It depends on what suits them at any particular time.
Are you pointing fingers at someone?
No, I'm pointing fingers at myself.
Interesting.
I mean, I can regret to myself that I'm also one of the elites. So that's why I'm pointing fingers at myself. But this is the truth of the matter. Which election? They didn't carry cutlass. Was it Action Group and NCNC and NPC? Was it MPN, UPN, PRP, GMPP and APP? That didn't happen. Was it under SDP and NRC? It didn't happen. Or was it under a no-party system? It didn't happen. Come on.
In the words of Elizabeth Cady Stanton, an American writer and activist who was a leader of the women's rights movement in the U.S. during the mid to late 19th century, she once said, "The moment we begin to fear the opinions of others and hesitate to tell the truth that is in us, and from motives of policy are silent when we should speak, the divine floods of light and life no longer flow into our souls." All right, so our next one is from Eric Pevanaji. He is a Belgian painter, and once said, "When the flood submerges the whole country, no raindrop may feel responsible. Finally, things had lost their weightiness." All right, our last one is from Gilbert White. He is a prominent American geographer. He once said, "Floods are acts of God, but flood losses rather are largely acts of men." All right, so now let's see how all of this could relate to what we'll be discussing today. Very warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. Now, with regards to the quotes that we just took, we'll be talking about climate change, as we'll be looking at effects on how to tackle the predictions on past future flood disasters in Nigeria. We'll also look at Nigeria Decides 2023, addressing the latest happenings that you're seeing at the moment. From there, we'll divert to discuss on Nigeria's energy crisis, seeking palliative and cushioning effects of fuel subsidy. And we've got all of that plus more and The Conversation with our guest, of course, Oshare, who is a political analyst, and he will join us after this time out. Please stay. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we'll move straight to our conversation for today. Our guest on the show tonight is Oshare. He is a political analyst. He is a Niger Delta activist. He's oil and gas expert. A lot of good things in one bottle. Very good to have you on the show again.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. It's been a very long time.
It's my pleasure.
I think I've not even seen you this year.
Yeah.
So are we still saying Happy New Year even at April?
We can. I remember one some time ago there was an admiral in Nigerian Army at Kiwele Way. Every day was a New Year. Yes. Every day you saw you will say Happy New Year. So we can say Happy New Year.
Okay, so Happy New Year to you.
I wish you many, many good things this year to come.
Awesome, likewise.
Country, a happy country and a happy people.
That's a very good way to start.
Yeah.
All right, I recall that you traveled to your home country late last year during the flood and all the destructions caused by that massive flood last year. So why exactly did you stay this long? Did you actually suffer the ripple effect from that weather condition and climate change?
Yes, I was disheartened when the flood ravaged my village, my state. I knew it was going to get there because when the flood got to Lokoja, the extent of it when I surveyed it, because I knew it was going to affect my place. Because the River Niger, through the tributaries, one of the tributaries going to Onitsha, then comes through Patani to my place, Okwagbe, and enters the Atlantic Ocean through Burutu. So I know the water was going to enter that place. And it happened. My house was submerged 4 feet deep.
Oh, wow.
Into the water. They were even moving speedboats through the village, through my compound, and they sent the video to me. So when it went down, I went to go and see the extent of damage. Thoroughly damaged, sewage system down, air conditioners down, termites that were escaping the flood, entered the house and climbed all and built their hill in the ceiling.
Wow.
And it was such a terrible state. Reptiles, snakes that were also escaping
from the bushes.
Found their home in the toilets.
Oh.
My house has 10 toilets because the big place, because of the size of my family, and snakes were all over the place. So after the flood had dried down, they had to battle snakes again.
Oh, wow.
Battle termites, put the house in order. But thank God, before the Christmas, we were able to retrieve it. Some friends were also very good. We put the place together, and it's now habitable. Now
so is it back to
back
how
to,
it was?
Yeah,
or?
back almost to back where it was, because there are certain things I couldn't do now. Repainting the house, clearing a few things out, restoring the air conditioners, especially the outside units that were all damaged. Some of them have not been restored. The house has not been repainted yet, of course, you know. Cash crunch.
Yeah, I understand.
For the pensioner like me, you know what it means. Yeah.
So how were you and other persons who went through that situation able to deal? Did you get any kind of, because I know you said some friends came through for you.
Yeah.
So, but then aside your friends, families, did you get any kind of government intervention? Because I recall that there were donations made by politicians at some point in some states to help cushion the effect of that situation. Did it get to you?
Yes, what happened was that when the flood was on, my whole community was covered. So the secondary school had a little elevated place. That's where they arranged for IDP, internally displaced persons. Then some people chose to remain in their houses, even in the water.
Oh, wow.
The reason was that while the place was being evacuated, people were being rescued, thieves were also breaking into houses.
Really?
Abandoned houses. Yeah,
wow.
At that time, to feed the people was a major problem. Even when I was here, I was just sending money in to help feed the people. But some people did something that they will not forget. Tinubu, for example, sorry to say it's coincidental, actually went to that place, and we were surprised. He made a donation of 50 million naira to the people. The Deputy Senate President made money, about 150 million naira for my community and the neighboring communities. The DESOPADEC, Delta State Oil Producing Area Commission, made sure food was available. Most of the time they were cooking for them. That's under the state government of Delta State. Then individuals, then some people from Europe And America also sent donations to feed the people there. That was at the general level. But at more personal level, people in the village felt that no, I didn't really matter. But my friends in the UK, my son with his friends in the US sent something in to help me get up like that.
So with all those subventions and interventions from the government, did they actually get to the grassroots, to people who need them?
Yes.
Because at some point we started seeing some reports where people came out to say that we're not seeing anything at all.
Yes, it got to them. What happened that, like the feeding program for the super deck. Actually, every day you could see cooking going on, and food. Women who gave birth at that time, we also be taken care of. We got to them directly. The money Tinubu sent, the 50 million, got to the people directly. The items that the deputy senate president sent got to the only thing that one snag that was coming up was that partisan politics was coming in sharing some of these things. For example, some of the money, the one that we get, if the PDP people that hold it, they will share it among the PDP.
Among the PDP. Oh, really? Yes. So it now became a party.
But then APC people were wiser. What they got to them, they spread it all to them, little things like that. But in generally, the money, a lot, I can say 98% of the money got to the people. The people cannot complain that it was hijacked. No. But maybe we don't know how much, but the amount they declared got to the people. Maybe those who were bringing the money may have got more than that. But there was food, cooking. In fact, when I got there, when the IDP camp was dismantled, you could see the remnants and talk to everybody. Say, yeah, we fed, they gave us food. Some say, oh, they didn't give me food. And others would say, but they didn't come there at that time. It got to the people. It got to people.
All right, since you mentioned politics, let's talk about politics. Let's talk about the 2023 elections and then all that happened. We'll start with the general elections first, then before we go down to the state elections and the House of Assembly elections, and then the general elections that brought forth Senator Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his Vice President Kashim Shettima. How would you rate the elections, starting from the electioneering process and then down to the outcome of the elections for you? In all that transpired, we excuse me, we saw some pocket of violence, some pocket of voter apathy, voter suppression here and there, and even up until now, you still have people who are agitating, disgruntled, and then they say, no, we're not going to accept the outcome of the election. So for you, what's it for you?
Well, if I take it from the national elections to the state, it was largely very peaceful.
So 2023 elections for you was peaceful?
Peaceful. And
free?
Yeah, it was peaceful and free. And
fair?
From my word, yeah.
Was it credible?
Yes.
Was it transparent?
Yes.
All right.
But one thing I would say, and I think like former President Olusegun Obasanjo said in one of his television interviews, when they were talking especially about 2007 election, he said, there's no election that has taken place that people do not complain. That people do not complain. Even the election that history records as the most credible, the freest, the fairest election, people still complain. And that is the election of 1990 of Abiola. People still complained. So losers, you always complain. And of course, it is for me, from what I saw in my state, it was free. The state election, in my ward specifically, because when the national election took place and result came, it was fair. So people were saying, okay, that is federal. You people can take federal. The state one now die this time. So at the time, I even panicked. Because I know the boys, we know how they behave. Then the communities, and understand that community did it. My community came out because my community is a ward of its own. They came out, the elders council came out and called all parties. He said, look, this election, no person must be harmed, no person must lose life because we are all one. And at the end of the election, we are going to live our normal life. So we should make sure it was free. After that, we still have fear. We see some people we don't know, some vehicles enter the town, especially the night. Everybody was like, hey, then the message will come and say, this one, if you kill anybody, your parents are in the town, your family is in the town. If you kill and run, we will burn the other. So there was those kind of threats. Then on the day of election,
who was making the threats? The opposition party? Or
everybody was threatening everybody. Say,
oh, okay.
We know the boys who are tough. It say, if you touch anybody and you run away, we can't catch you. We'll go for your father.
So did he do anything?
Nothing happened. 6 o'clock in the morning, phone calls were going on. That one, the whole meeting there. This one, they say, leave them. Just let it. Then the election came. Everything went peacefully. No quarreling, no slapping, no argument. At the polling units, everybody said, please, let's be orderly. For my word, peaceful. And at the end of the day, everybody laughed. Those who won rejoiced and mocked the other people. And I think in my local government, yes, there might be cases of here and there, but in my local government, throughout everything peaceful. My son was a returning officer, not in the community, in another place they posted as an ad hoc annex staff. I called him at 12 midnight because I worried, Riverine area. Oh, boy, where are you? He said, oh, we just finished. Well, how did it go there? So everything normal. So generally, I would say elections were free and fair and peaceful. And all previous elections have had skirmishes. There's no elections since I grew up in this country, from the one I actively participated in 1979. There's no election that has not had one skirmish here and there. And of course, no, even in families, even in communities, when they are vying for position, even when kids are getting over, there are little skirmishes here and there. But the extent, the percentage of it, what we say in statistics, they say statistically insignificant. It's not enough to say, to condemn everything, to say something. So for me, it's okay.
Okay, so now let's talk about your state, still on your state elections, Delta state elections, and then we saw reports on pockets of violence here and there. And then, so would you actually say, again, that election was free, fair, credible, and transparent? Because a lot of people are still contesting the fact that the party that won, the governor-elect, was not supposed to. Even the APC are still contesting and saying that they're hitting the court.
Yes, they are not going to the court because of violence. They are going to court because they felt the results were rigged. That's what I said. It is not unusual. It has happened in every election before. It has happened in every election.
Were the results rigged?
Well, I will not speak. I will not speak on that here now. But I know, like I said, rigging here and there. No elections have been held, can be said 100% rig-free. That's what I'm saying. In Delta State, I will remind you, in 2007 elections or so, yeah, 2007 election or 2011 election, yeah, 2011 election. Remember, one party, the Labour Party then, under which Great Ogbodo contested, went to court and won that the elections were not free and fair or they were rigged, and that a rerun should be done. A rerun was done. A rerun was done between Ogbodo and Oduayo again. So what I'm saying that cases of rigging, complaints like that is not unique to this particular election. It has always been there. What led to 12 to 12? Remember 12 to 12 case in 1979? Is not a case of rigging that we're contesting against? Even if we have to go back to 1963 election, were they not the case? So there have always been cases where losers complain. They complained in 1979. They complained in Abiola's election. They complained in 1999. They complained in 2003. Buhari versus Obasanjo. They complained in 2007. They complained in 2007 also, that brought Yaradua in. And of course, Yaradua came eventually. And remember, even the total results of 2007 have not been declared. About 11 states also have not been declared. And of course, Yaradua tendered apology, even though the court ruled, he said, remember, this is history. So I'm saying, there's no election in this country, there have not been complaints of rigging here and there. So it's not peculiar to this one.
But then a lot of people have actually had so much hope that aside the June 12 election, that this will be the second free, fairest and credible election. So it means for them, they believe that regardless, June 12 election was one of the best.
June 12 election, okay? I've said that one of the best. Just like I said, this one is also a good election. It's a good election. You see, the problem with us Nigerians generally, we are hypocritical people. And sometimes the more educated we are, the more mischievous we become. I mean, we know, if you see people say something today, just watch it. If you can document what they are saying today, watch what they will say tomorrow. The same people will come around to say tomorrow. And some even say, when they don't even have anything to say, they say, no, the number of people who voted, who participated in the election, they are not enough to declare somebody a winner. Some people are arguing that already, that they will shock. They estimate the population of Nigeria to be 200 million. And if you look at the total number of people who voted, 8 million plus 6 million, that's 14 million, plus another 6 million, that's 20 million. That is just 10% of 200 million. And then before now, we have been made to believe that over 94 million people registered, got their PVC. Now if you look at 20 million to 94 million, how does it go? That's about barely 1/5 of the whole thing. So what I'm trying to say that people who say one thing today, they say differently tomorrow. And the elite in this country, and especially the educated elite in this country, they have been so mischievous and very hypocritical. It depends on what suits them at every particular time. They can't come out honestly to say the truth. They are never consistent. It depends on what suits them at any particular time.
Are you pointing fingers at someone?
No, I'm trying to figure out myself.
Interesting.
I mean, I can relate to myself that I'm also one of the elites. So that's why I'm trying to figure out myself. But this is the truth of the matter. This is the truth of the matter. So to say, oh, this which election have we not complained that was not rigged? Which election that are gone that a cutlass was not raised anywhere? Which election? They didn't carry cutlass. Was it Action Group and NCNC and NPC? Was it MPN, UPN, PRP, GNPP and APP? That didn't happen. Was it under SDP and NRC? It didn't happen. Or was it under a no-party system? That didn't happen. Come on.
So are we ever going to get to that point where we don't need to carry cutlass, bottles, move ballot boxes during elections?
Yes, we will. It may not be in my lifetime, it may not be in your lifetime. We will get there. But like I said, and we have talked off camera before, we need a new reorientation of the Nigerian people. We need a new orientation. Let me tell you something. If you look at the quality of people who were elected into the National Assembly, the state houses of assembly in 1999, if you look the direction, the process of election at that time, you see the quality was higher. Reason was that as at that time, and of course the kind of people who went there at that time were dead devil people. People who said anything could happen. Because at that time, even good people were still scared of the military. They weren't sure that the military was really ready to hand over in 1999. So everything, there was this fear of the shadow of the military behind them. After 1999 to 2003, after 2003, a little confidence was coming up. People were becoming more daring. But meanwhile, the real good people who have been scared of could not come back because the other people, let me put it, the other people, they were already taking over the stage and eventually dominated the stage. And they are more brazen, they think now. They don't care. They feel that the whole thing is about how they are not democracy have come to stay. Anybody goes in. The laws are twisted anyway. Many things are happening because consequences are getting fewer and fewer. So a time is going to come. There's going to be, they're going to get to the climax, and everybody's going to hate what we are doing. Say, no, things can't be like that anymore. And I do hope at that time we would have revamped our National Orientation Agency such that it will not be an agency that comes out and broadcasts or mouth government policy about. It's going to be a reorientation agency.
Are you saying indirectly that the orientation agency are not living too?
Oh, no. They know. Nigeria doesn't even know that such an agency exists. After when MAPSA was when MAPSA was on, everybody knew MAPSA all over the country.
But
everybody knew MAPSA.
I actually had a conversation with.
If you're governor well. If you're do this well. MAPSA, we knew that MAPSA. But since then, go to the market. If you don't, go to say.
I actually had a conversation with NOA recently, and then they said that the fact that a lot of people are just playing the ostrich, the fact that they are not in the television station or the social media station that you are used to, doesn't mean that they're not working. They are there. Social media, go check their space and see what they're doing. Media,
can they be seen in the primary school? Can they be seen in the secondary school? MAPSA, you could see them there. White Brigade, you could see them there. In social media, for who? Are you in social media to tell the market woman that she doesn't need to drop rubbish on the road? Is the market woman go to social media? The wheelbarrow pusher want to go to social media to know that this is what you need to do? Come on. Orientation goes beyond that. It is changing the mindset, the values of the people, how to relate it to, how to know that you don't have to drive against traffic. We need to teach history. How you need to know that when you go to school, you need to clean the classroom, you need to clean the back. Things, simple things. This is what orientation. You think, go to Japan, for example, how the children are brought up, which did not grow into adulthood. A Japanese go to the ATM machine, takes money from the ATM machine, and say bye to say thank you to the ATM machine. Go to Europe, go to America, where a pregnant woman goes to the ATM machine. Every other person gives chance to the pregnant woman to be attended to first. Go to the UK, where you enter the bus. A woman with children enters the bus, and you're sitting there, you get off. You don't need to be told. That's your orientation. You don't need to be told. Go there, go to the ATM station, you go to the bank, you see people struggling with pregnant women, now me come first. You mean you need to go to social media to go there? Come on.
But then
let's not take this country for granted.
But then we already have, as a country, we already have that one orientation, one mentality. If you check this past election and see the divisive words that people are throwing out, even people that you should respect enough not to do it, they still throw those kinds of words and tantrums down to the public space. How do you orientate those kind of people?
It's the new, like what I said, we need, if we handle national orientation as we do, it's not a one-day job. Remember, until Y came, we didn't have the culture of queuing. We didn't have the culture of queuing. We didn't have the culture of environmental sanitation. It came. Those are two key things that remained. They may not be perfect, especially environmental sanitation may not be perfect, but the key thing is going on there. If we want to start reorientation, certain level of adults have to be contained. We need to go down, because orientation is something, it's a socialization process which starts on an early stage. So once you have brought the people to come out with a language, a kind of language you cannot use in public, the child grows up that kind of language you cannot use in public. You cannot do this in public. You cannot do this. The child grows up. So when we're able to bring a new generation of such people, all those kind of lousy words you use in public, it took up again.
So those children are supposed to tell those adults.
Yeah.
Because now you see political party chieftains making statements, inciting statements.
That's what I say. Who are the people controlling the political parties? These are people who have poor orientation. They have dominated the space. They have dominated the space. Sometimes when I play with my friends, yesterday we just playing a game and we had a little argument. Somebody made a remark, say, let us all be reasonable on this. We are making, so I told him, Are you saying I'm unreasonable? You know, say, another person challenge, one general that challenge it. You say, we are making an argument, this how it should be. You are making and say, let's all be unreasonable. There's words you cannot use
in public.
The guy regretted it. So we, the mother, the fathers, we have to bring, with this national orientation, we bring the thing out so that when a child is saying something, a mother is saying something, a father is saying something, the child says, Dad, no, it's all right. That's what you're doing is all right.
I agree.
That's what you're doing is all right.
All right.
But there's something, can't look at the people. Is it because you have certificate? You can't look at the people controlling the parties. Most of them, they can do anything and get away with it. And they can shift from one party to the other overnight. First, no ideology. To jump from one party to the other overnight. Even no orientation, no ideology, no consequences.
All right then, we're due for a break. Let's go on this quick break, and when we return, clearly there is so much to unbundle from this conversation, and we will get right into it after this time out. Please stay. We also hear another kind of a milocon, which looks at it looks like it's becoming a mantra, especially in Nigeria. Some senators are already saying that it is their turn to become the next Senate president. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, work for it. If it's your turn, work for it. If it's your turn, the man who made the word popular, Emilocom, he worked for it. So if it's your turn, work for it. He didn't say Emilocom and sat at home and waiting to be given to him. If you say it's your turn, work for it. That's what it is. And two, I'll tell you one thing. The presidential system is a horrible system. And in Africa as a whole, the presidential system is a curse on the continent. The African generally lost power, and most of the time abuses power. And then you give him the power again. The person naturally likes power, and then you give him constitutional power to do what he says.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you've actually missed out on a whole lot, but then you can still join in the conversation. Our guest on the show today is Oshare, and he is a public affairs analyst, he's a policy analyst, oil and gas expert, and Niger Delta activist. Before we went on that break, you said quite a lot of salient points that we should hold dear to heart, especially when you said when parents say the wrong things, especially in public, you should have children who will tell them, no, you should not make such statements or do such thing, especially when you're in the public. All right, now let's leave orientation and national orientation and the Nigerians. Let's talk about, still go back to the elections. How would you actually rate the activities of the electoral umpire throughout the elections? You've seen how a lot of people have come out to shade them black, white, red, so many colors, and they reminded them of how much they promised to reel out transmit results in real time, but then later they came out to do one part and then didn't do the other part, and they've seen people throw out placards, protests, saying that INEC backed down on Nigerians, even though at some point a lot of Nigerians went into that election with the fact that, with the enthusiasm that INEC showed on them. So what will you say about the electoral umpire?
Well, what I'll say is neither here nor there, in the sense that in my own personal opinion, the day INEC said that elections were going to be transmitted here and there, there's going to be a server, and here and there, I just laughed. I laughed in the sense that whatever server, whatever transmission system they're going to use is going to be hacked. Oh,
so you expected that before the elections? No, how so?
Yeah, I know it was going to be hacked. You see, I may be wrong, I may be right, but as a public observer, remember 2019 election. At 2019 election, the two main candidates, President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Atiku Abubakar, in the tour, Buhari toured all the 36 states. Atiku toured only 18 or 20 states. And then when the elections results were announced, the Atiku camp already came out that this is what it's called. That this is what it's called. Why? They say there's a server. This is what it's called. They said it's got 20 million votes, and Buhari's got 18 million votes. That is what they have in the server. And of course, at the end of the day, they found there was no server. I remember 30 minutes to midnight, 11:30, 30 minutes to midnight of the election day, elections were postponed for 1 week or 2 weeks. Reason? The card readers needed to be reconfigured because they were already hacked into. You see the hacking thing?
You recall the Minister of Communication said over 3 million
that kind of
hackers.
Thing. So when they say this, I say, okay, they will hack again. In America, Trump and Biden were other cases of hacking from Russia. As sophisticated as that country is, are we sophisticated enough? We are sophisticated in hacking. We are sophisticated in, I think you see our accounts, salary, money. You see the Yahoo thing going on in this state. That's the level of...
That's another sad event.
Yeah. So the same process, the same Yahoo process was also going to go into the transmission server thing. So I said, hey, this is going to happen.
But then a guest actually said that, if you recall, during that same elections that you talked about in 2015, they were reading out numbers, 25 million votes. But now, because of the beavers, they can't even reel out such numbers again.
Yes, that's why I'm saying, INEC at one time or the other, they have to, on a daily basis, or that they need to review, they need to rearrange, they need to check, they need to fight against this hacking thing. So a lot of things need to be done to minimize the hacking. So if you don't succeed, you will cry wolf. That's what we are. If it doesn't favor you, you cry wolf. Even some people want to even interpret the scriptures, we interpret them even to suit ourselves. That's the nature of that. That's the level of development we have reached. So whatever it is what we shall accept until the time we improve in it. If you look at I've tried to look at the court cases filed by the PDP, filed by the Labour Party. I look at it, they're only challenging the process. They're not even challenging the results. Check their case. They are not crying rigging. Look, the 5 points even the Labour Party, they are challenged. Whether the person who ran as the president is as presidential candidate is qualified with the process, whether it's good. They are not talking about the results. Check the two cases. Because, which means all parties, if there was rigging, all parties rigged.
Are you saying there was no rigging?
That's why I say, if there was, you see, some of these things, they could be prejudicial. And you have to mind what to say. If there was rigging, every party, all the parties, except the small ones, those small ones like owned by those one who didn't participate, if not the major parties, if there was rigging, all the major parties rigged. So if you favor, you fine. If you lose, you cry. If you win, you rejoice. So none of them has the moral right. None of them can convince it in the whole say that it didn't rig. Maybe the principal, the main candidate itself, may not be aware. But what of your followers, the zealots, the enthusiasts? You know what they did? That's the thing. For INEC officials, the integrity, let their conscience judge them. Those who misbehave, let their conscience judge them. And of course, what do they? Are they not the same Nigeria like you and I? Are these not the same Nigerians like you and I? The same
cash crunch that affects us, affects them.
The same thing, the same poor people. Because when we point fingers, we are the holy ones. Only people will point fingers at the bad ones. We forget that even in our little way here and there, we did some bad thing. And I clap for that Professor Oti in Abia State. In Abia. Giving something. I think a good thing should be rewarded. I don't agree that. A bad thing should be punished. Maybe that's the example. She's going to be like another late Professor Akinyuli.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. You see, we will have individuals like that come out. But they are not enough. They are not enough. That was why I said we need reorientation. The real thing, in fact, the major organization, the major outfit we need in this country now, apart from the military, which will give us the security, is that orientation. That orientation will give us social security, peaceful security, peace security, every good thing, the development security in the future. and bring the Nigerian to a very, very proud man. Because outside this country, we are respected, we are looked up to, but we are we behave well outside. A Nigerian will go for peacekeeping outside Nigeria and will be rated high. But way back home, the things he couldn't do there, when he comes back home, he does them. We travel. If you see a Nigerian senator, a Nigerian governor in London, in America, it's a humble person who is like an honorary person. We come back to the plane, they are going to at the airport, Heathrow Airport, they queue up normally and enter the plane, chat with everybody. As soon as the plane lands at Murtala Mohammed Airport, it's a different animal.
I actually saw a social
human
media banter where people showed the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, where he was carrying all his bags by himself. And in fact, someone even approached him and said, let me carry your bag. But he refused and decided to carry his bag. And then they started saying, Nigerians, can we please learn some lessons?
That's why it is your orientation. It's on Gordon Brown also, or Tony Blair, was charged for beating traffic crew by riding on the bicycle. I think Boris Johnson, he was going to Parliament, riding a bike, he beat the traffic light, and he was fined. But here, the official car of the governor or even honorary commissioner, local government chairman, drives against the traffic with police clearing the way for him. So that's why I say, is your orientation. When I first got...
Will the orientation also meet such people? That's another point. Because it looks as though the law is meant for some persons and not for the other persons.
I said, once we have the orientation, who do you recruit the leadership from? You recruit the leadership from the pool of all of us who have the same poor mental orientation.
But then he who plays the piper takes the tune.
Now, what I'm saying that by the time you do the orientation, you are bringing a new generation of people. The new generation of people is from there. You are going to recruit the police. You are going to recruit the soldier.
Who does the recruitment?
No, the same
person that brought you in will dictate what you should do.
There are people who are driving the orientation policy. These are people driving. If they make you the orientation director, you are implementing it. So the people you are implementing are going to come and you are going to be the one to recruit them. Because the team was have been set in autopilot. Like you talk about the prime minister. You see the American president, you see other people holding, when the rain is falling, they are holding the umbrella themselves. But in Nigeria, as a local government chairman, you will not even hold the umbrella. Somebody is holding for you. There, your ADC, if you have any, his job alone is just to be ADC protecting you, not carrying your wife's bag or carrying your bag here and there. It's your ADC carrying your memo only, not other things for you. It's for your protection.
Or maybe carrying your wife's food plates in a buffet.
Around, changing. All
right.
These are orientations I'm talking about.
All right. All right, now let's talk still on the elections. Now we also hear another kind of a milocon, which looks at it looks like it's becoming a mantra, especially in Nigeria. Some senators are already saying that it is their turn to become the next Senate president. So what are your thoughts on that?
Then work for it. If it's your turn, work for it. If it's your turn, the man who made the word popular, Emilio, he worked for it. So if it's your turn, work for it. It didn't say Emilio and sat at home. I'm waiting to be given to me. If you say it's your turn, work for it. That's what it is. And true. I'll tell you one thing. The presidential system is a horrible system. And in Africa as a whole, the presidential system is a curse on the continent. The African generally lost power, and most of the time abuses power. And then you give him the power again. The person naturally likes power, and then you give him constitutional power to do what it says. If you look, apart from the federal situation, apart from the National Assembly, if you go to the states, there are no houses of assembly. All the state houses of assembly, they are extension of government house. If you go there, have you heard of any state house of assembly quarreling with the governor just the way the Senate and National Assembly quarrel with the president? Have you seen it? No. Reason, even at the national level, the power, the presidency puts the power of the purse. It puts the purse. It puts the pocket, the national pocket, which I made the purse, in the hand of one individual. And from my place, we have a saying that the person who carry the soup, now everybody they don't follow. So he has the purse in his hands. Everybody tries to follow. He used that purse in his hand to punish those who want to punish, to reward those who want to reward. In the State House of Assembly, once after the election, the governor's party wins the majority. 6 months after swearing his money, all the other people who won under different parties, they come to the governor because the governor does have the money. So anybody can say, "Milo, come on that place, but work for it." And that is why research has shown that of the four systems of governments we have, the presidential, the parliamentary, the hybrid, which is practiced by France, and then, of course, the communist. We found that the presidential is the most corrupt. And the presidential also throws up the list. It doesn't throw up the best candidates.
So are you for parliamentary?
I'm for parliamentary any day. And it goes. After election, the president or the prime minister must be somebody who is capable of debating in parliament. And when they find that his competence is dropping, the party replaces him immediately. And again, you cannot be a minister except you have won election in your constituency. So you can't go to parliament, you're a minister, you shun your people. Next time you won't get voted in.
But don't you think that's what happened this election?
No, this election, what they did that they signed a new electoral law without, they said they passed a new electoral law that killed them off.
Not like they shot themselves on the foot.
You see, in the presidential system, we've seen it, the president wins. After winning, he remembers his friend in America. He comes and appoints his friend in America to hold a ministerial position. He has forgotten people who died, who fought night and day for him to win election. He brings people there. But what do? We still have to hang around the president whether we'll get something to eat. No. So a parliamentary said the purse, the treasury is in parliament. Everybody is seeing it. Everybody is seeing how it is done.
All right. All right. Now before we leave election matters, let's talk about this report coming from the DSS with regards to interim government. Now, I'm sure a lot of, even those, if some of us were not there at the time when it happened during the Chief Shonekon's days, then I think it was about 90 days away. We talk about interim government and how it was at the time. Do we have any reason to talk about interim government at this time?
You remember how we started this discussion? I said Nigerians, actually the elites, are mischievous and hypocritical. These are the mischievous people. These are the mischievous we are talking about. And there are people behind them, like the DSS rightly said. DSS has already known the people. And if you get to know some of the people, this was something they tried, they thought it could happen to NSAS, and it didn't happen. So they want it now.
But doesn't it actually touch you? Sorry, I body. Yeah. Doesn't it actually touch you that information is coming from the DSS?
That it touched me. How will it touch me? That they are admitting it.
Why are they the one telling? Are they actually informing you that some misguided elements are talking about interim government, or they are just telling you to know?
They didn't mention the names. What's wrong with the DSS informing public of what is going on?
I thought the DSS is supposed to be secret.
When they will act, they will act secretly. They are saying it now, so when they act, you don't misread them. You say, look at these people there. So that even you need to understand the people making the protest. That these people are protesting there, what they are doing, they are being used to protest this, so there's something underneath.
And then some people say that it's a way to gag the protest. Don't you see it as such?
Which way to gag the process? If you want to gag the process of, they should allow people to call for interim government? It should be allowed? It should be gagged. You mean they should allow it?
I mean the protests.
The protest is that they're asking for interim government. It should be allowed. Try that in America. Because that's where we all cite an example from. Or go and try it in China.
Okay, just for those people who do not know, why are we even talking about interim government?
That's what I say. You have heard of the situation of a dog in a manger? Dog in a manger. If you can't eat it, destroy it. That's what they are. If you can't eat it, destroy it. And they forget the person whose head is used to break a coconut doesn't eat from it too. They forget. Some of them are innocently just coming on the public. Some of them are innocently just coming on the public without even knowing the puppeteer, the people behind it. Oh, that's what makes an interim government a better government? What makes an interim government a better government? Is that the way of developing democracy? You come out and say government should be overthrown. You say things like that. I think this country is the most tolerant of such things. You can't try that in most other countries. Those are reasonable things to do. Follow the process. Follow the legal. Follow the constitutional process. Why do you enter the government by who? To be headed by who? To be controlled by who? And why? It's all rubbish. We shouldn't bring ourselves that low. We are bringing ourselves low. Sometimes it pains me when we Nigerians open our mouth to abuse this country. Which nationals all over the world abuse their country to that level? Which country? Which country bring ourselves to that low stage? There are problems, yes, we resolve them. All problems cannot be resolved overnight. Rome was not built in a day.
I agree with you. All right, now let's divert a little bit and talk about the recurring energy crisis. We're still experiencing the surge in fuel crisis, the queues in filling stations, and then all of a sudden the black market becomes serious business. It looks like someone was even saying it looks like they might be listed in the stock market very soon. Those black market boys or girls that you see on the streets, and then yet you have retailers still saying that, denying that business has all of a sudden become bullish. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, we are talking about oil prices here and there, over and over again in this studio, and my position remains the same. One, if actions are do not have consequences, they will develop to become the norms. When we turn this country, we deliberately allow, or we sheepishly allow some people to kill the Nigerian refineries without any consequences, we cannot expect a better situation. The Nigerian refineries, we kill them for the past 20 or more years. They are not functioning, and we allow it to be. Nobody is punished for it. No action is taken. They were all part of it. That was why I kept on. That was why I said before that we are recruiting the people from the cesspool of people who have better. Why won't the refineries work? Why wouldn't a condition be created for more refineries to be built? Why won't we do business honestly? Because we have had this pure orientation of survival of the fittest. Anything goes. Taking the American cowboy slogan, nice guys finish last. So he did it, you didn't punish him. I should do it too now. There are some people who are at the fringe of being bad, and there are people who are at the fringe of being good. But the people who are bad, because they are being rewarded, they are not being punished. The people at the fringe tag along with them.
All right.
So we need to do that. And of course, the Naira. You need to beef up the Naira. If you don't build the Naira up, the fuel problem continues to be elusive, to be a runaway problem. The currency, you need to build it. If you build it and they can compete with the international currencies which is used in international trade, then you will see that the fuel price thing will take care of itself as it is.
All right, because our time is fast spent, I'm going to ask you two questions, and I'd like you to unbundle them in one breath, just in the next 2 minutes.
Yes,
now, in the next few months, we should be talking about subsidy. subsidy, fuel subsidy and all. I know that we've actually discussed fuel subsidy time and time and again here in the studio. But then, how ready are Nigerians to go that route, bearing in mind that there are no cushioning effects, no palliatives, no help, and then to douse that tension? Some pundits have actually said that fuel might be sold at 750 naira to 800 naira per liter. How much will that affect the value chain? Seeing the fact that you talked about the refineries, we don't have the refineries yet, and we don't have supplies, and how we can get supplies to help cushion the effect. That's one on the side. And then secondly, hopefully in May, we would have moved away from the election matters, and now we'll start, and then its outcome, and start deliberating on census. So with all the agitations and confrontations that always comes with the aftermath of each census that happens in Nigeria, and the amounts allocated, the numbers allocated to each state, and then the arguments they keep having that why does this state look more in numbers than my own state? With all that agitations, are we actually ready to go census in May, even with the budget that has been built for it?
Yeah, I don't think we are much ready for it, because movement across the country in terms of fuel and other things there, cash flow, even for people to react, it's not there. So people are disposable.
And at that time, we should be talking about fuel subsidy.
Yeah, we are talking about fuel subsidy and the crisis that will follow it, if not well handled, cash scarcity, which is already there. I think the census thing, this is not the appropriate time to do it. And again, I will still come back to my orientation issue again. It's only in third world countries like Nigeria that we are still talking about census. If the people are well oriented, for every child, for every birth, they are registered, you don't need a census anymore. And then the politics of census, which is used for resource allocations, makes it being inflated. So even the estimate, they say we are 200 million people. I don't even believe we're up to 200 million. But they are doing it to favor states allocation, resource allocation. So if we have good orientation, where people become sensible that for every bed is registered, every debt is registered, we can do our census, our population control, or estimates or statistics more efficiently. And two, if we go through a system where the regional autonomy and it's what you generate that you take care of your region, people will not fight to occupy a big space that were as many as this in order to get more resources to themselves. So these are things we need to develop into in order. But until then, whatever they bring out of census, it will not be a very successful one. It won't be very successful because many people will not even want to travel to make themselves available. No money, not enough fuel to move about, and things like that. People, I don't think it's going to be, but let them go ahead, because one time or the other, we should have something. As
have a number.
Yeah, as in 1960, we in Nigeria and Britain, we are having almost their population 50 million to 55 million thereabout. Till today, Britain is hardly 60 to 62 million. Despite the immigrants going there, Nigeria has moved from that time to, they say 200 million. Some are even saying 210. Because 215. It shows you are politically active if you add to the number that you know so much. You know, you see the mischief, like I said, of the elites. They just add to it here, we know very much, in order to buttress the arguments.
All right. So do you actually see fuel going to 750 to 800 per liter at that time?
Maybe not. May not be as much as 750. Throughout the 4 months I stayed in my village in Delta State, the cheapest I bought fuel was 300 naira.
Thank you so much, Slick Oshare. It's always a pleasure having these talks with you.
Thank you very much.
All right, viewers, that's where we end this edition of The Conversation. We've been chatting with Slick Oshare. He is a policy analyst. He's a political analyst. He is plenty good things in one. And it's been a wonderful time here on The Conversation. I will definitely see you next time from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. God bless you and yours, and God bless Nigeria.